Now it's time to create our login brute force app, okay, for the web application. All right. Now, actually, I already uploaded this file, which is the brute force.py, so you can download it and writing the code step by step or tracing the code step by step. And already I have this file, which is rocku.txt, and actually this is the file. Yeah, as you can see, it is here. So this is the file, the same file as the Kali Linux file, which contains a lot of text files. So if I cat it here, it will take a lot of time. As you can see, it's still bending. As you can see, yeah, let's copy that. So let's, if I get here du-h, this is to see the size of the file. You can see it is 144 megabyte. And by the way, I already uploaded that for you if you want to use it. This is a huge word list. And by the way, if you have Kali, you can find it there. It's okay. But if you don't have it, you can download it and start with me. And by the way, I will use this rocku.txt as a word list so we can check the users or the password, I mean, for this specific user that we provide. Don't worry, we will handle that right away. But follow me for now. Okay? Now, but again, please don't use these to attack people, to damage systems, and so on. Okay? I warned you. I'm not responsible for anything of that. Okay? Please use it for you as a white hacker, to have a career, to have a job, to defend people, and so on. Okay. Now, let's start. So, this is the first thing, which is the import request. We already talked about this in the previous section. Now, here, I'm using something new, which is term color. And it is no big deal, actually. It is just print a color for a specific text or something. Because as you can see, from term color, we imported colors here. So the colored function, as you can see, this found username or found password will be printed as a green. And you can see that where it is, yeah, you can see that here, the trying with the password, it will be printed as red. Don't worry, we will handle that right away, step by step. But for now, these are used just for coloring the text, okay, just to give you the vibe of a hacker or something. Anyway, no big deal. All right, so now let's have this is the first thing, URL. This is a variable we input. Please enter a page URL, so you put the full URL here, okay, that you want to try and brute force on it. Okay, now we have the username here. Please enter the username for the account to brute force. So you are using user, root, admin, user one, whatever. Okay, so it depends on you. And by the way, we can have a list for this as well, but actually it will be exponential, so it will take forever actually. Anyway, but we are assuming that we know the username, so that's why please enter the username. Okay, now here we have the password file, and here you can see enter the password file to use. So you put the name of the file, but by the way, which is the rocku.txt. This is the text file or the word file that has all the passwords inside it. And you can see that they are in the same level as the brute force.py, which is the program we are writing or we are interpreting. Okay. Now, finally, we have this variable, which is the login failed string. So here you can see that please enter a string that occurs when login fails. So when you type root and with the password tour, for example, which is the inverse of root, it will give you login failed or invalid credential or access denied or something like that. So you need to know the target machine, what will give you when you put a wrong credential. Okay, don't worry, we will handle all of that in this lecture. So just follow me for now and we will reach that level. Okay, now we have this function, which is the diff cracking. But before I go into it, actually, this is the main logic of the brute forcing. Before I go through it, I want to check here, or I want to have a look here, so to understand this more. So you can see here, actually, this will be executed before, or interpreted, let's say, before the diff cracking, because we call the cracking from here. Anyway, follow me for now. So you can see that here, with open, and here you can see that we are using the with and as statement. Okay, so with this function, which is open password file, the file we opened for the password, as you can see, which is this one, and as a read mode. So with that as a password, so which means that everything you opened here as a read, or all the passwords that you have it here, open it as a password here. So store them there, and we will start that right away. Okay, so after that, you can see that we have a colon here with this as this. Inside that, inside the with as statement, we are calling the cracking function, okay, which is cracking the username that we insert here. We're assuming it is user, admin, root, whatever. And with the URL, which is the URL we input here, enter a page URL. Okay, so we are calling the cracking function with these arguments or these variables that we stored here, and using the with as statement by doing with open this file, which is the password file, as a readable and as a password, make it as a password, okay, variable. Okay, now actually after we use the with as statement and we call the cracking function, so now it is time to handle the cracking function. So you can see that we define the cracking function. This is the first parameter. By the way, I'm using username here. By the way, this is not the same variables. This is only for the scope of the cracking, not for this one. Don't get confused, please. Okay, and the URL here is not the same for this URL. I mean as a variable, not as a value. Yeah, by the way, because we are passing this username as, which is this one, as you can see, this variable that we are passing to the cracking function here, but we defined the name here is username. By the way, I can put username too, okay, and user and URL too, and I need to change the necessary here inside this function, okay, because this is username or this variable is not the same as this variable. They do not point to the same address, okay. Anyway, for now, just follow me. Let's let it as is, which is username and URL. Now here we have the for password in passwords. Okay, now we already talked about the for statement, and by the way, we are using the passwords that we use it with the with open password file read as a passwords. All right, cool. Now we are handling the passwords one by one. So you can see that we open this password file, that the RockView file, and you can see it is very huge file. So if I cut it here, yeah, you can see it's still printing. Yeah, so I interrupt it. All right, so you can see that it will start using this password one by one. So, and all of that will be inside the for loop, which is this one. Okay, so it will start with this one, for example, until it reach or complete or whatever. It will start with this one, this one, this one, until we got what we want. Or anyway, we will handle that right away. So here we have, after the first statement, which is the password now, it will be password.strip. Again, we already saw that in the previous section, as we don't need white spaces or whatever. So we are using this one. Okay, now print. Now, as you can see, now we are using the colored function here that I mentioned, which is using the term color library. So colored, by actually this is a function accept a table, and with the first thing, which is, as you can see, the first thing, and the second thing, which is, as you can see. So the first thing, which is trying with the password, and the other thing, which is the color of this text, which is red. All right, don't worry, we will handle that as a hands-on right away. But currently, let's understand the code first, then we can try it out. All right, so we just printing trying with the password, which is, we have it here after we strip it, and we have it as a red. So this to tell that we are trying this password currently. So we don't need something or utility to give me a black screen and it is still rendering. We don't know the progress about it. No, we need to know where are we currently, what is the password that we are currently trying on, and so on. So that's why we are printing trying on this password. So now we have data, and this is a variable, and inside it you can see that we have these things, and you can see that the username is username, the password is password as a dictionary if you noticed, and the login as a login, or the login here is as a submit. Okay, because here this is used for the login button when we put the username and when we put the password and so on. And you can see that the username here is the username, we have it here. Actually, we got it from the username, and the password here is the password we got it after we strip it. Okay, all right. Now you may get confused, but follow me. In the next step we will understand, actually in the next line. So here you can see we have a response variable, and we are using the request.post this time. Okay, we don't use the get, and we have the URL, which is the URL we inserted here, which is this URL, by the way. Yeah, and data equal data. So the data here, this is used for the post function, and the data this time will be this data, which is this one that we have, that includes the username, as you can see, which is the username, the password, which is the password after we strip it, and the login, which is submit. Okay, because this is a post request. Now you may get confused or you don't know what we are talking about, but don't worry, when we try this code, you will understand everything. Okay, now if this login failed string in the response.content.decode, and you can see that the response here, which is this one, after we got it from the request.post, so the response.content.decode. So if we find the login failed string that we entered here, that occurs when we login fails, which means that we need to pass, which means that this didn't work. Else, which means that yeah, we found it, we didn't found the login failed string, which means that yeah, we connect successfully, which means this time we need to print with the colored function, yeah, found this username, and we will put the username we found with a green this time, that there is a red, and yeah, print found the password, and again the password we have here after we strip it out, yeah, as a green as well. And let's exit from this function, so as we don't need, as you can see, this is an infinite loop, or maybe actually it's not an infinite, but it is a very huge, actually it is the same as the number of lines here inside this file, which is the rocq. So if I use this command, which is the word count -l, so this is to count the lines inside the rocq text, you can see that we have a huge number of lines. Yeah, actually you can see there's a huge number of lines. So we will wait until that. This doesn't make sense. If we find the password and the username, or the password for this username, then we are good to go. We don't need the other things, right? Okay, now imagine, or let's assume that we didn't found anything. We still inside the pass until we reach the last command or the last password in this file, which is this number. Okay, so after we finished the rocq.txt file and still we didn't found the password, it will get out from this cracking function and it will print password not in the list. Okay, so that's why we put the exit function here. So this exit function, it will exit from the current brute force.python, which is this one. Okay, so if we find it, it will exit. If we didn't find it, it will still keep pass until we get out from this cracking function, and then we will print this password not in the list. By the way, this is my logic. You can use your own logic. Actually, there are a lot of logics how to do that and how to do such as things. Actually, let's try this out. Actually, it's getting boring here, so let's time to do this. So yeah, Python 3, so brute force.py, and let's press enter. Please enter the page of the URL. By the way, I recommend you to download and install the Metasploitable, which is the Metasploitable machine. And here you can see that we have this thing, which is the DVWA, or the Damned Vulnerable Web Application. And actually, this is something very popular to test your web application and so on, to test your skills on hacking the webs. So actually, this is very good. So for the username, we have this one, anything, and the password, anything. So you can see that we have a login failed. All right. Now let's return here. So what is the page for the URL? As you can see, I just copy and paste it like this, as is. Press enter. Now what is the username? So actually, by the way, if you can see that the username is maybe root, maybe admin, I don't know. So let's try admin. I think it is admin here, yeah. And for the password, by the way, actually this is something very simple, because the username is admin, by the way, and the password is password. So it is something very simple and easy. I don't need programmed actually to find this out, but let's assume that it is something complex. Anyway, now enter password file to use, which is rocq.txt file that we have, and enter the string that occurs when login fails, which is login failed, like this. So let's put it like this, and yeah, you can see that trying this until we reach the password. So you can see that trying password, yeah, admin password. So let's try this out. All right, time for testing. Password, yeah, everything working as expected. So you can see that, yeah, actually change your password because it is very simple and very easy. stupid actually password, not just simple, it's stupid password. Anyway, now you can see that we are able to log in to the page with this username and this password, and with very you can see cool way. As you can see, this will give you the vibe of a hacker. As you can see, this is the color here is red and the color here is green, but you can see that because I'm using already a green color here, so you can see that this is why it is green, but actually the green scale here, or the green color, is not bright like this one. This is just for it to be fun. Okay, and by the way, one last thing I want to mention, please, I warn you to use this on a real target or real machines. Okay, so actually I'm not responsible for any attacks, damages, or anything that happen. I'm teaching you an ethical hacking to use it to good for you and good for your company, your organization, country, institution, whatever. Okay, so don't use it for bad purposes. Thanks for watching.